Welcome to the bonus session, My Introvert Journey. Well, as I've been saying throughout the course, I'm an introvert, but I'm also a person of faith. In fact, for the past 20 years, I've been a pastor, leading a church, growing in my leadership journey. But I wasn't always a pastor. Before that, I was an engineer. I studied and became an engineer and spent a few years doing that before giving that up to go into ministry and become a pastor. Now, the reason I did that is because I discovered the powerful transforming work of Jesus Christ. When I discovered what Jesus had done for me, when I discovered what Jesus was doing inside of me, and when I discovered what Jesus wanted to do through me to be a blessing to others, it absolutely blew me away and completely changed the trajectory of my life. Now, Jesus does all of that through a trust relationship. I always used to think of Christianity as a religion, a list of do's and don'ts, and I was really put off by that as a kid. But when I discovered that God is actually calling us into relationship, to walk with us, it just changed me, and I fell in love with that and completely put my life on a different trajectory. What it didn't do, though, is change the fact that I'm an introvert. In fact, I remember wrestling with God and arguing with God. God, how is it that you could call me to be a leader, call me to be a pastor, and yet you made me an introvert full of fears and insecurities? But then I made a fascinating discovery. There's an Old Testament book called the book of Jeremiah, and Jeremiah was a young prophet, and God says this to Jeremiah. He said, Jeremiah, before I formed you, I called you. Before I formed you in your mother's womb, I appointed you to be a prophet to the nations. In other words, what God was saying is, before I made your DNA, I already had a purpose and a plan for you. In other words, I made sure that your DNA perfectly matches the plan that I created you for. When that discovery dropped into my heart, once again, it brought about a beautiful peace. No more fighting what it means to be an introvert, but actually, I began to embrace it and even celebrate it. All that it means is I've just got to trust God that much more. I've just got to stay that much closer to God and hold on to my faith. Remember what God said to Joshua, be strong and courageous, be strong and courageous. The third time, he said, be strong and courageous. And then he says, and I will be with you. That's a beautiful thought, to know that God Almighty wants to be with us in a relationship with Jesus. That brings an incredible level of security and strength and confidence to my leadership. And so that's my little story about faith and how faith has changed me and transformed me. And so if you've got any questions about leadership or any questions about faith and what it means to become a person of faith, please feel free to write to me. I hope it helps. I hope this course has added value to your life. God bless.